trying to pull this game into a late macro game. So it's all going to come down to the early pressure that TriMaster is going to put on his opponent and how well Revo can deal with it.
Most definitely. Now, where are players spawning here, Rob?
Well, spawning in the top right as the pink Zerg. He is down 0-1. Can he bounce back and take this series and throw this into a game 3? He is CRGRevo. And he's going to have to work hard to win this game against his opponent in the bottom left. Really strong Terran player. We just saw him play. The game before this, he is the red Terran, Complexity's very own TriMaster. Man, such a great series here. Such a great games going on. And I'm just excited to see what is going to happen in this game around. You know, really, if I was going in this as Revo, I would probably really be looking forward to that mid-game. Trying to get that third base up, trying to get that third base secure, and making sure that my opponent is only on 2 bases, because that is going to be the most important factor for him in this game.
Yeah, and really that's what TriMaster did that last game, was just force tons of cancels on all those bases there for Revo, to the point where he was just choked out, sitting on 2 mineral patches.
That is exactly the case, and now actually it does look like Revo going to put down a 15 hatch, pretty standard here, and Complexity TriMaster putting down a barracks, probably going to expand behind this, like a 1-rack expand or something. He doesn't have his gas up, so very likely that we are going to see a fast expand from both players at the beginning of this game.
And that's just to be expected now. And we have the spawning pool coming down there for Revo as well. Just everything insanely standard. So, we got some downtime here, Rob.
We certainly do.
Let's see. What should we discuss?
What shall we discuss? You know what? I want to throw this out to people. Anybody who's watching the stream, do be sure, if you have a Twitter and you want to tweet us, by all means, throw this out there. Just at IvD Gaming, tweet hashtag IvD80. That is the numbers 80, and just put the player that you want to see win this tournament. We've got some really great esteemed players here, some amazing players, and we want to know what your thoughts are on the current brackets and who do you want to win. So go ahead and do that if you want to.
It's called interaction, man. And while you're there, make sure you follow us as well. It's just one little button click. You can also find us on facebook.com/IvDgaming and our website, ivdgaming.com. You can see it in the beautiful fog right there, all made by our awesome Sir Kolvsky.
What a great artist, too, actually. The overlays are done by him now. Very nice artist, and I love that from him. But as much as I would like to talk about him more, here's something quite interesting out of TriMaster, playing a little greedy here and throwing down a 3rd command center extremely early.
Yeah, definitely. It still looks like he's going to go for Hellions off this as well, but that's just going to give him map control while he tries to establish that 3rd. I really like this play from TriMaster.
This is a really strong build that we have seen in GSL from him himself. Well, not him himself. I'm sorry. We do see it in GSL, but it's not from him. It is from Marine King. I don't know why I said he does it, but no, it is definitely.
Well, apparently he does it. He's doing it, so you're still right.
No, he definitely does it. Not in GSL, but he is going to have that factory going to go down, and that's going to be swapped out with this barracks for that early Hellion pressure immediately into a 3rd expand. This is a very strong build.
Let's see how much info these 2 lings running in can get, though. If he can spot that 3rd command center, he's going to know exactly what's going on.
Oh, but those lings are not moving in. What is Revo doing?
I'm just sitting there making sure nothing fishy's happening. I can understand that, but this would be a huge opportunity for him to come in. And we have the 2nd factory coming down for TriMaster as well. So I'm kind of interested to see if we're going to see Blue Flame off this and have that triple Hellion production, or if he's going to move straight into Siege.
You know, I really would like to imagine that he's going Blue Flame off of this, but he could follow this up with Siege as well. They're both viable options for their own purposes. If he wants to keep that third really well defended without having to worry about Ling run buys, then he could go for the Siege tank. He could throw down a bunker and a Siege tank or so, or he could go Blue Flame if he wants to keep his opponent constantly on guard so he cannot put pressure. But it looks like it is going to be the Blue Flame. That's exactly what it's going to go for. Pretty standard thing. Reactor Hellion with Blue Flame. Very powerful move against Zerg. And not easy to deal with as Zerg. So this is going to make this third base extremely hard to take for Revo.
Yeah, there's only 4 queens out right now, and these Hellions are going to hit before Link Speed is done.
And they're going to get a spot on this third that is going down by Revo. Just barely out of view here, and here they go rolling in. There they do see the hatchery, and now Revo knows about the Hellions, but Lings are not going to be able to deal with this.
Oh, and the Lings actually get a decent surround, but there's just not enough there to take out all the Hellions. The 2 queens come down. They're going to try and defend this, but the Hellions look like they're going to run back around the front.
They have definitely done pretty good there. Not losing a single Hellion and killing off a few Lings is always a good
4
trade.
creep tumors get taken out without cancels there by TriMaster. Great job, but this is a nice wall by Revo. Those Hellions won't be able to get in, take out any drones there. And we have Lair almost completed for our Zerg player, as well as 1-1. And 14 roaches on the way.
You know, I do find it interesting that Revo does know already about the heavy Hellion play. He's already seen enough Hellions to know that this is Reactor Hellion. But what he is doing, he's upgrading melee. So we might see him, he might be looking into this late game Broodlords. Is probably what he's looking forward to. But these roaches at the natural have been stuck there. The queens ran in by themselves. One of the queens are going to be picked off, and now the Hellion's going to back off. Only one of them was lost.
Yeah, doing a lot of damage without losing much there for TriMaster, making his mech transition. Those 2 armories are just about to finish, sitting on 3 factories as well. I really like this play. It's nice, sort of greedy there in the early game, but with as greedy as Zerg players are being, taking that quick third, you can usually afford to get away with it.
Usually that is definitely the case, but once again we had the roaches stuck in the natural, but more roaches are going to be pushing up at these Hellions, and oh, they're going to get one Hellion, but the other Hellions are going to narrowly escape here and run into the natural. Now going to move down to the third. There is still a queen waiting here. He could pick off 1 or 2 Hellions, and 1 goes, 2 goes, but he's still killing off drones. These drones are getting decimated. Quite a few drones are lost, and the roaches are going to come in and push this away. But now with the Vikings on the field, they're going to be able to pick off some supply, and that's going to put Revo in a really tough position.
Yeah, he's actually pretty heavily supply blocked right now.
Ooh, that is 8 points. Now a little less than 8 points. Going to drop that down rather to 7 points in the red, which is still not a good position to be in. But these roaches now on the map are going to be able to apply pressure. Of course, TriMaster with really good map control is going to spot this immediately.
And I love this wall TriMaster's setting up in front of his natural, with that command center and those depots and a turret. Just so those roaches have to run all the way around through the third base, makes it a little easier to defend.
And always, if he decides to, if he needs to push up, or if the roaches decide to push up into the natural directly and try to break down this wall, he does have the siege tanks, and he is probably going to be transforming that command center into a planetary fortress. But here go the roaches into the third, and there is not a whole lot here to deal with it. There are 3 siege tanks, but those can be dealt with. There's a lot of roaches here. One of the siege tanks falls, another one falls, but there's another one back here put up by TriMaster. Now Revo is inside TriMaster's natural base, taking out the supply depot wall. There goes the bunker, and now even the Vikings are forced to land to try and deal with this, but this is a lot of roaches inside of TriMaster's main now.
Yeah, and there's nothing really here to defend. One siege tank sieges up. He's going to pick off some of the roaches, but it's just not going to be enough.
Oh, these roaches haven't done as much damage as I would like to have seen them do so far. They are probably going to get picked off here. There's quite enough to defend this out of TriMaster, and not too much damage done. A bunker killed, 2 supply depots killed, but nothing as far as production goes. And there was a loss of, well, 17 workers, which was actually really good for Revo. But at the same time, Terran can still bounce back to this game.
There's more roaches rolling in the third base. Sorry to interrupt you. But forcing the lift on that third base, the TriMaster picking off even more SCVs over here, but their siege tanks ready in position. Not sure he can break through as well this time.
These roaches are going to do a little bit of damage. They have killed off some of the SCVs, and they are going to pick off all of the siege tanks. Definitely paying for themselves in the end.
And Zerg actually sitting in a pretty nice spot, taking his 4th base, getting his Ultralisk Cavern up, plus his 2-2s, which I don't believe, 2-2 hasn't even been started for a TriMaster yet.
Not just the 4th dying, but he's got his 5th just about to finish up here, and workers already mining here at the 4th. 4 Vikings going to fly in and going to spot this drone transfer. So I wonder if TriMaster is going to go ahead and poke up there and see what's going on. He is indeed. These Vikings going to get up here and spot that the 5th is here. He could land, and that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to try and do some damage here to the 5th. And there are no units for Revo to send over here, as all of his units are over at TriMaster's base.
Yeah, but there are 4 Ultras on the way. Those Vikings are going to take forever to kill that hatchery as well. I think those roaches might just barely make it in time. So they're pushing their halfway across the map right now. But those Ultras are going to be hard to deal with here.
But these Hellions... The Hellions, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but the Hellions inside the 3rd are doing so much drone damage here. Almost the entire mineral line taken out, and now the Queen trying to defend this. Roaches splitting off to deal with it, but now it's moving up into the natural, and there goes that great wall Revo had before, but already with some great worker shots off. Worker kills. Those Hellions get away. Not really get away. They do die off, but they did definitely pay for themselves.
Most definitely. These Vikings just getting whatever scouting information they can. But they see those Ultralisks. Let's see, we still have a lot of Hellions coming out for TriMaster, though. Kind of surprised after seeing those Ultras.
Ooh. The Ultras are going to take down that central wall in the middle of the map. That's going to allow Revo to move his army into TriMaster's base a lot quicker. But these Vikings doing their best to keep Revo supply blocked is going to keep him from massing out that army as fast as he would like to.
Yeah, just forcing him back, but this is actually quite a few Ultras. 7 Ultras here. But if they try and attack straight into this natural, they're just going to be funneled in.
He's probably going to have to move up into the 3rd, and soon. There's a command center just now going down here at the 3rd. Probably going to be morphed to a planetary fortress to help defend this. Here go the Ultras. They're going to make a move in on this refinery and get in position to move in on the 3rd. But TriMaster knows everything that's going on here. He has that command center floating there, and Revo, recognizing this, is going to have to pull back to deal with the Hellions that are inside the 5th and have just destroyed all of the mineral line at the 5th. So much carnage out of TriMaster. Such great Hellion play. Just happened. And these Hellions are going to be cleaned up here at the 3rd as the Roaches and the Ultralisks now over in that area for Revo. Not in a position to put pressure at all, but looks like TriMaster is going to start pushing out with 17 siege tanks. This is a huge number of tanks, and going to be really hard to deal with unless they are not sieged. And here goes the battle going in right now. The Ultralisk gonna get the surround and everything. Just so much damage being done by these Ultralisks. They are going to lose quite a few in number, but now this army is going to push up to the 3rd, which is undefended at the moment. They're going to start running up here, and they have a free path in here. The siege tank's going to siege on the high ground, and here go the Ultras moving up towards the siege tanks. One of them dead. Second one about to fall here. Roach is coming in from the other side, but the planetary fortress at the natural going to do its best to try and deal with this. There's just a lot of units here. This can this army alone can clean up the planetary fortress and move right into the natural. There goes the planetary fortress, and here goes the army into the natural. A Thor waiting, but it's not going to be much for this army to deal with. And now it looks like Revo going to go right after the third, try and take that out to keep his opponent from having that economic lead that he already had.
Yeah, and right now there's no way for TriMaster to defend that. All he has is some Vikings here flying over it, trying to get as many tanks and Thors out as he can. But there's just not much time. Actually has to cancel the planetary fortress here at the 4th base. He still has that 5th, just waiting for the creep to clear up, but Revo's doing a great job keeping TriMaster on his back foot right now.
And here's the army going up against these small group of siege tanks, the best that TriMaster could muster here at his main, trying to deal with this. But oh, there's so many units and more units being flooded across the map from Revo, as now he looks like he's gonna take out the natural, as so many SCVs are getting picked off while they're trying to escape to the main, and this army is just looking so scary for Revo.
Vikings doing even more damage here at the 4th base of Revo, but there's just not much left here for TriMaster. That's really the majority of his army right now. Has some Banshees out, so they're going to be just uncontested against these Ultras, but we have 10 Corruptors on the way, and I believe that Greater Spire is... no, it hasn't been started yet. Sorry, I thought he had started. He may have and just canceled it, but...
He
still doing a lot of damage. But those Corruptors are going to shut those Banshees down, and right now, that's really TriMaster's saving grace.
I really think it is, and those Vikings did such a great job of shutting down that 5th, and now they're going to start moving. Looks like they're going to fall back some. TriMaster not in... He's not quite dead yet, but he doesn't quite have the economy that he needs to back up his army at this point. He can't max like Revo can, and Revo's already got a very powerful army here. Corruptors going in on that command center. It is going to fall. Now the Vikings going to be bringing them... Going to come in to try and deal with the Corruptors. TriMaster going to bring those in to just get shot down, actually.
Yeah, there's just too many Corruptors here, but they're bunched up, and oh good, Revo does pull them back before the Thor can get any really nice volleys off. And TriMaster's in kind of a weird spot. It's where Revo can't exactly push up this ramp right now. There's just too many siege tanks, and these Hellions make a nice wall to get those extra hits off. But TriMaster can't push this back either, just sitting here on 2 bases, can't even really get mining done at that, what would have been his 5th base sitting here at the top of the map right now.
Well, now there are 9 Hellions making their way over to Revo's side, getting into that position where 3 of them are going to catch a huge drone transfer, and that's going to be so devastating. So many drones are going to be killed off here. Oh, that was absolutely huge. That was just about 12 drones caught in by 3 Hellions taken out there, and the rest of the Hellions doing damage there at the 4th are going to get cleaned up by the army of Revo, and the rest of the Hellions going to actually make it out of there. TriMaster going to come back into this game with some amazing Hellion harass.
Yeah, definitely great job. Threw that drone count down to 40 against 22 SCVs right now. But like you said, there's just not much economy left here for TriMaster. Again, sitting on those 22 SCVs doesn't just barely starting to produce anymore, and that Greater Spire is about to finish.
Oh man, such a great play there from those Hellions of TriMaster, using that Spore Crawler to pick off burrowed drones. Such an amazing play, such an innovative play, using that splash damage to his advantage and going to kill off even more workers. Now up to 87 worker kills by TriMaster to 72 worker kills from Revo.
And we finally have some mining going on here for TriMaster at that top base. Just was able to pull off that SCV transfer, but we already have 4 Broodlords on the way. There's 9 Vikings out, but there's 9 Corruptors as well, and we don't have any Ravens to negate that.
Ooh, an army from Revo going to poke in a little bit there, but he is going to lose an Ultralisk in the process. And now with the 4 Broodlords out, he can make this work. He can get a position on his opponent. But the 3 Hellions now going to poke up to that 5th and realize the 5th is going back up for Revo. TriMaster now with great map control, just like we saw earlier in the game, with such great Hellion movement, Hellion placement, and being able to see exactly where his opponent is at all times.
Yeah, we have more Hellions working their way up over towards the 4th base, but they're going to get picked off by all these Ultras and Roaches sitting over here without getting to do any damage.
Wow, a lot of Hellions are going to get lost there from TriMaster for nothing. They didn't kill a single unit there. One of them is going to get away. He is the unsung hero of TriMaster's fleet or army.
This may be the latest in the game that I've seen Infestors come into play.
I have to agree, though. I mean, usually you do see Infestors quite early, but now I really think Revo, he just needs something to help deal with these siege tanks, and being able to use those Infestors to his advantage, he might be able to cause those siege tanks to splash on TriMaster's own units, or at least draw the fire so his army can run in. But 2 Broodlords were picked off by some Vikings in the center of the map, and it looks like another base here for TriMaster going to go down.
Yeah, TriMaster's still sitting on those basically 2.5 bases with all the minerals about halfway done in his 3rd base right now. So yeah, he's starting to come back. His economy's starting to grow again. He's done a really great job holding on and bringing himself back into this game.
Both players have done this, actually. Both players doing a really good job of just falling behind, putting the other person behind, and then catching back up.
And we have Hellions in the 5th base again, taking out all the drones there.
It really is painful to watch these great Hellion harassments. Here he goes, moving the Hellions in again, and he is going to do a scan on the 4th base, going to pick off a few more drones, but he needs to move those Hellions back. They're not going to be able to pick off this Queen, but the army from Revo is pushing up into the 5th, well, 4th actually, of TriMaster, which is forced to lift, and a lot of workers killed off there as well.
Yeah, back down to 23 SCVs for TriMaster, but there's only 30 drones out on the field for Revo right now. So still sitting relatively even, just so much trading of workers going on here.
Well, at the same time, Revo really has a good position here. He has a stronger army at the moment. If he can utilize his army to the best of his potential, he is going to be able to break this tank line and get into this base, and that's going to be really hard for TriMaster to deal with. He's got a lot of Vikings, but this army has a lot of Infestors, and it's got Ultralisks, and he's got Roaches. The Vikings really only good for the Corruptors, which really are only good for turning into Broodlords, which they haven't yet.
Yeah, now we just have kind of a standoff moment here. Neither player's too sure if they want to push into the other one. Which I can't blame them. I always end up, like at this point in the game, doing this myself. Not too sure where to push into. Just because if you push, your opponent can turn around, go around your base. And if those siege tanks unsiege, that creates a huge moment for Revo to just eat away at this army.
And it looks like 4 more Hellions going to make their way around into the 5th once again, but there are 2 spine crawlers now waiting for him at the front, and they're going to drive right around those and pick off some drones. More drones getting killed off. There goes a burrow, and no more drones are going to be killed off, even though that attempt there at targeting the hatchery did go down, but this is going to be cleaned up perfectly from Revo.
Oh, 2 Infestors making their way here into the 4th base for TriMaster.
Oh, Infested Terran on the way, and there they go. Infested Terran are going to be thrown down here, and this is going to force a lift on the 4th base, because TriMaster does not have what he needs to be able to deal with this, but is he going to get that command center burning? Yes, he is. Is he actually going to get it down? That is a pretty huge thing. There's no SCVs around, no mules being brought in to help repair this.
Oh, he might just barely get there in time. A great job saving that base by TriMaster. That was insanely close.
It was indeed, but a lot of workers still killed once again. Both players just really targeting those mineral lines and doing such a good job of it.
Oh, and we have the first Raven coming out here for TriMaster as well. One of my favorite units.
You know, the Raven is actually a really, I feel like it's an underused unit by a lot. I mean, it still has the AoE damage from the Seeker Missile. The Seeker Missile is now free. You don't have to upgrade it. It's such an underappreciated unit, but it's a really good choice here, seeing as these infestors are just so good in this game.
And if he can get him to clump, he can do some major damage there. But again, we're at a standstill, but Revolution now maxed out against 156 supply here for TriMaster. But the Raven sees those infestors, and the Hellions might actually be able to pick them off here. Oh, actually choosing not to follow him, but the infestors are going to walk right through the rest of these units. Are we going to see a scan?
No need. There was a turret there that was able to spot all of those, or both of those infestors, all two of them, man. There was a turret able to spot those two infestors and pick those off with the army that was there. But
I
now
like all
with
two
more
of them.
Brood Lords, all two of them. Well, now with more Brood Lords out for Revo and two more on the way, this is going to be pretty difficult for TriMaster to deal with. But those Brood Lords morphing are out of position, and it doesn't look like TriMaster is going to get into a position to poke them down, as he does not know about it.
And I really like this, just using 2 Vikings and a couple of Hellions to clean up creep. But the scan goes down, and TriMaster sees the army of Revo pushing forward. He decides to turn back at the last second. Can't blame him, but just almost losing a Brood Lord there. Sitting at 20 HP.
Revo has to be careful here. The army from TriMaster, if it gets sieged up, then Revo is not going to be able to push up at this base either. But he has a window of opportunity here, and he doesn't look like he's going to take it. Going to back off. Going to send some Brood Lords in to poke a little bit. But the Vikings are going to come in and clean these up. 2 of them are down. A third one going down here. The fourth one going to be lost. And there that goes. The rest of the army from Revo coming in here, but it's not going to be enough, I don't think. There's quite a few Thors here. Infested Terran coming down. And Roaches going in at the 5th as well. Such a
but
good play out of
TriMaster
Revo,
doing
but
such
this
an amazing job here, though. Sitting 166 supply, finally taking that supply lead this game. Has that worker lead, but we have 10 more Ultras on the way for our Zerg player. But neither player is sitting here with much of an economy right now, though. Even though they've started to stabilize in workers, 44 SCVs to 38 drones. Still just not much economy. It's hard for them to get any bases really established and going.
Looks like these Roaches from Revo are going to make their way up and back way into the 5th. But TriMaster already knows about these, and Thors are waiting them.
And just so many workers have died this game. It's kind of...
Yes.
Actually, I think this is the most I've ever seen.
This is actually 200 workers killed off so far in this game. Actually, to be more accurate, 204 workers now with the Hellion Harass inside the 5th from TriMaster, taking a few kills as well.
Yeah, now we have both players almost maxed out again, though. TriMaster's done a great job coming back from that deficit. Just really outmaneuvering his opponent. I love this Thor spread as well. Those infestors aren't going to get any great fungals on this, and we don't have a Neural Parasite yet. Ooh. Which I really think would be a good upgrade to get in this circumstance.
Oh, and now the siege tanks up here in this army is going to give them a really good position. The Ultralists are going to run in here. Great fungal goes down on all of those Vikings. And this army is going to be able to clean up TriMaster's forces. But TriMaster doesn't have anything back there to help hold a counterattack, as it looks like Revo is going to move in with his Roaches and his Ultralists, going to move in into this 5th base of TriMaster. A Planetary Fortress going to try and help defend this. Workers being pulled to help with repairing, but it is going to fall. This army is so powerful from Revo, and there's not much TriMaster can do about it.
Now, sitting without much of an economy now, he can't produce very many units. I mean, we only have 2 siege tanks and a Thor coming out and 4 Hellions, but the Hellions aren't going to be very useful engaging this army. And the forced lift here for TriMaster at the 5th base again. And now there's no mining here for TriMaster. There's 1 or 2 tiny patches with about 200 minerals left there at the 3rd base for TriMaster, but that's all he's got.
SCV scattering in every direction. This is a very interesting thing. You don't see it very often. I find it interesting, but all these SCVs are going to be picked off, and some of them are going to be able to get home.
Yeah, not very many, though. We're sitting down at 20 SCVs again, but to 33 drones. Just that worker count staying so low this game for both players.
This Roach Ultra combo doing so much. The command center trying to come back here for TriMaster, but it's not going to be able to land. This army, if it did land, this army is going to be able to clean it up very, very effectively. And now the army moving into the 3rd of TriMaster is going to start picking off some SCVs. 1 more SCV gets picked off, and it looks like some of the others are going to make it out alive back to the army for safety, but this army from Revo is already up here in the natural, now going to be pulled back around to try and deal with the remnants of TriMaster's siege tank and Thor mix.
And we have over double the supply now for our Zerg player compared to our Terran. Even though TriMaster's in a beautiful position right now with all of his siege tanks and Thors. Just not letting anything happen to that base he's attempting to establish right now.
Oh, and the Infestors are going to get some Infested Terran off on this army, and this is the chance for Revo to throw his army into the mix, but all of the Infested Terran were already taken out by the time he did that. That was definitely not a good move, but all these siege tanks are going to get focused down. The question is this going to go one way or the other? It is going to go the other. Revo going to clean this army up. Some Thors left over, some Hellions trying to do their best to deal with this, but the Ultralists are not getting in there to do their AoE. He could get SCVs and the Thors here, and he is going to get the Thors. 2 Ultralists remaining and 2 Roaches. Going to clean up the mineral line here, and there's the GG from TriMaster, as Revo has done a very, very, very hard thing and pulled this into a game number 3.
Cool, guys, we're going to cut away to music while we get this next match sorted out. Do us a favor, you'll see all of our social media sites there on the out-of-game overlay. Just take this minute to go follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Check out our website as well, ivdgaming.com. That's where you can find all the streams that are live at the moment, as we do have 4 streams running for this $200 invitational tournament. And we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Hit the snooze, then hit the snooze again. 6:15, that's when it seems like that button's my only friend. I spent an hour in the shower, got distracted cause I started this song. Damn, I bet I smoke my last cigarette. Every morning something goes wrong. Once again I'm driving, barely surviving. Always the same old routine. Moving too slow, watch some dark on the radio. Tries to be my morning caffeine. Yeah. It's just a day in the life.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back once again to the IvD Gaming number 80 tournament. This is an invitational only, and we have CRGRevo versus Complexity's TriMaster, game number 3, after an amazing comeback from Revo in a 44-minute long Zerg vs. Terran. Guys, I'm your host here, IvD Robin. Joining me here is IvD, it's Dine. Dine, who are our players and where are they spawning?
He's spawning at the bottom right. We have our Complexity player TriMaster in the pink, and his opponent at the top. We have CRGRevo, our red Zerg. How will this work?
Both players are tied 1-1 here, and this is going to be a very pressuring game for both players. TriMaster, after losing the last one, even when he had a lead, he cannot afford to lose this one. And of course, Revo, with a little bit of hope now, going to go into this with a little bit better mindset. He's going to look at this as, you know, hey, I just won the last game. Maybe I can pull off this one as well.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what both players have planned for this one, or if they both decide to just go with that really standard play again. It's worked out for each one of them in different instances, so I wouldn't be too surprised about that.
Well, there certainly is no question of skill here. Both players are very equally matched in this game. So I really think anything they do could go either way. This has just turned out to be such a great series, guys. And actually, I do want to throw this out here while we're waiting for both players to open up pretty standard here, which is exactly what's going on. I want to see you guys tweeting us. That is at IvD Gaming. And with a hashtag IvD80 and the name of the player you want to win, because I enjoy knowing that you guys are participating in this tournament.
It's always nice to have some kind of interaction, so we know we're not just talking to ourselves here. Come on, guys.
It definitely is. Actually, you know, maybe if you guys want to leave just a short message as well, you guys can leave a short message, and if we find any short messages, we might read them off later on in the broadcast. If we find ourselves waiting on a game, or if we find ourselves at the end of the tournament, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Nah, reading is fun, man. That's what LeVar Burton taught me. Except Twitter's not really a book, but I think it still applies, guys. I don't know if any of y'all know his home phone number. Please tweet that to us as well, so we can call him. We'll get him here on stream and explain it.
Oh yes, let me go get that. I think I have it stored somewhere.
Who knows? I mean, I heard he'll show up as long as you provide a meal and pay for his gas money. So.
Really now?
Yeah, I heard that on the TV.
Believe everything that you hear on the TV.
Of course.
Was it on the internet as well?
No, the internet lies.
No, you have that backwards. The TV lies. The internet tells the truth.
If the internet tells the truth, we're all gonna die. Like 15 years ago. Alright?
Well, actually it was like a year ago. We're actually living in a post-apocalyptic world right now.
Well, yeah, but every year there's something that's gonna kill us all and cause the end of humanity.
Sure.
Unless there's actually some kind of mystic superhero squad that none of us know about that's saving the world every time it's about to be destroyed. Which is what I'm leaning towards. That's what I think happens.
I like to believe that sometimes. But you know what else I like to believe?
Superheroes can use burrow and that's why we can't see them?
Sure. I was going to say... Actually, what I was going to say is what I like to believe is I like to believe in our players here. With TriMaster going right for that Reactor Hellion, not going to go a little greedy, not going to put up that third base. He wants to put pressure really early here. Just wanted to point this out. 2 gases going down for Revo. A sheer indication of pressure of his own. You don't need 2 gases this early, guys. 1 gas is enough. So this is definitely going to be some early pressure out of Revo. And it does look like if we switch over to TriMaster, he was able to get a spot on. He was able to see both of those gases. He knows what his opponent is up to, and now he's going to be a little more defensive with these Hellions, possibly. As Revo moving Lings across the map, 2 at a time here is going
And
to be
actually-
putting himself into a position to put pressure.
Not committing too heavily to this, though. Taking his third base is Revo. And we do have... Let's see, yeah, those first Banshee... Or Medevac, actually, in production. So we might see a Hellion drop. That'll be cool. I haven't seen one of those in a while.
I love Hellion drops, I really do. Unless I'm playing against them. But they work so well because even if you have the units to deal with them, they're probably going to get some drones either way.
And especially in this instance, like sitting here harassing with the Hellions, the Queens are going to be up at the front kind of defending everything and actually running straight into the main base with the Hellions.
Wow. This is ballsy, I have to say. Going right after these drones.
Oh, and great job splitting one Hellion off. So it gets chased down by the Queen, letting him get even more drone kills here.
Oh, but one of the Hellions are going to be surrounded by those Lings, a beautiful surround, and more drones are going to be picked off. These Lings are going to... Oh, those Lings were in such a good position for that, but now the Hellions going to put themselves in a worse position. The surround going to go down here from Revo, and that's going to get cleaned up, but not before 9 workers have already been killed off.
And we're definitely going to see that Hellion drop. The last 2 Hellions making their way towards that Medevac now.
And here they go. Are they going to drop in the main? No, they're going to drop in the natural. Here go the Hellions dropping up on the high ground. Does Revo have vision of this? Well, he definitely does now, as these are going to go in and start picking off the drones. But there go the Lings running in to help. And great pickup on those Hellions with the Medevac. Banshee going to come in and try to help out here. A Spore Crawler going down at both bases. But now the Hellions going to be dropped behind the mineral line with a great positioning here. Those Lings cannot get a surround on these Hellions. One of the Hellions is getting close to dying, but no. Great pickup by coLTriMaster is going to allow those Hellions to get away and do a little bit more damage before finally moving their way to the third, where they can do even more damage. Queen going to pick off one of those Hellions at a second Hellion, and now Ling's going to come in. Only one Hellion is left, but with the Banshee and a Hellion here, he's going to be able to do a lot of damage.
Yeah, really has done a great job with that Hellion draw, moving between base to base, getting those Queens spread out. And the Banshee's still sitting here doing more and more damage. And during all this time, coLTriMaster's been able to go ahead and establish his third base, make his tech transition, getting all those additional barracks right now, jumping up to 5 in total. And we have Stem almost completed for him as well. Oh, but the supply depot's down, and Lings do make it in. Going to pick up a few Hellions and a few Marines, but that's going to be it. There's just too much back here defending for coLTriMaster, and Revo is sitting in a pretty bad spot at 37 supply right now.
Yes, and the worker count at the moment in favor of coLTriMaster, 27 to 55. This is not a position you want to be in as a Zerg against a Terran. You do not want to be behind in that worker count because the Terran has mules, and mules is making that worker count so much better.
See, and we still don't have the rocks broken down in between the third and natural here for our Zerg player. Is this Banshee going to get picked off? Yes, right before that Queen falls. Oh, but more Hellions come in with that drop and just tear apart drones here at the natural again. Just great job by coLTriMaster spreading Revo's APM all over the place.
Already sitting here at almost 12 minutes in the game, 34 workers killed off by coLTriMaster. This is amazing play, amazing Hellion play from our Terran player, and it looks like another Banshee is going to pick off these Lings, making their way towards the base of coLTriMaster, but coLTriMaster doesn't have a wall here to defend his third, so these Lings probably could get in, but they are going to back off as they do realize that this Banshee has spotted them.
Seeing we have Spire on the way for our Zerg player. But we already have Vikings in production for Terran. We have Siege Tanks working their way out, as well as 8 Marines at a time being produced. That Stem's already finished. Combat Shield and 1-1 about to be done for him as well. And another Hellion drop into the main base. Gonna take even more drones out here.
Wow, this is such great play, and it looks like those Hellions are probably going to get surrounded. Yes, there goes the surround. The Hellions are going to get picked off. There was enough for Revo to defend that with, but once again, like I pointed out earlier, when it comes down to it, it's more than just the ability to do damage, but it's the ability to do damage and not have to worry if he pulls army because he was still able to get some of those drones. And now here comes the Zerglings running across the map here for Revo, now going to make their way up into the third. That siege tank is not sieged. He does not have siege in order to siege it, but the Marines might be enough to clean this up, and that's exactly what's going to happen. This army just so powerful for TriMaster already, and there's the GG. Good luck from Revo as TriMaster wins the series and makes it into round number 2.
Yeah, great job there by TriMaster in all 3 games. That game 2 was amazing, guys. If you did not get a chance to see it, make sure you check out our YouTube channel at /IvDTV so you can catch that a little bit later. Definitely great games by both of these players. So we're going to cut to music here for a couple minutes so you guys can kind of jam out. And if